Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 362, and today we're going to be doing Battle in a Ruthless Rumble. And so to get some of the stuff out of the way, if you're a daily follower, you're going to be getting a lot of best of three over the course of the next week. Probably about half of our content will follow best of three, as the Ruthless Rumbles are here now and over the course of the next few days, and then the Runeterra Open will be here a week from the day of this video is released on this upcoming Saturday. And so I really like to play best of three. I think it's a fun time. Definitely going to be focusing in on that. The next thing I always say in our best of three videos, if you're interested in seeing one of these decks really kind of focused on, you can scroll backwards in the channel. We've covered all of these decks at some point in time across the channel. It's been a little bit of time since we've been playing Aatrox Vayne, but most assuredly these decks have all been covered. And so if you're looking to skip ahead from that point, the decks we'll be playing are Aatrox Vayne, we're going to be playing Samira Pantheon, and then we're also going to be playing the Demacia version of Tristana. And so, my number one big take, and it's kind of a grand scale kind of thing with these formats, is number one, I think you should be playing decks that you like. I think that applies to any tournament based format in the sense that if you're going to have to be playing 9 rounds of an event, you shouldn't really be playing decks that aren't something that you really enjoy playing. If you're not going to have a good time, you're not going to have a good performance in a good event. And so while a deck may have a percentage or two higher percent win rate, if you don't really enjoy playing it, it's not going to be that good. And so we're going to be in that aggro to mid-rangey kind of space that I really enjoy playing. All of these decks are really the kind of stuff that I like. The next thing with this is with the rotation happening here recently, I think it's very important to just be playing good cards, right? And the format maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right before the rotation, you could really look to play decks that were 3 Legion Rearguard decks or 3 Decimate decks or something along those lines, because the card pool was so deep that you could really build around those cards and not really weaken your lineup too much. But if you're trying to play the third best aggro deck in the format right now, I can assure you it's a pile of garbage. And so there's just not enough cards in the format right now to sustain really going kind of deep in your lineup and trying to do that thing where you play triple aggro and to a lesser extent things like triple control lineups. It's just you don't really want to be playing like the third or the fourth or the fifth best deck of the variety of cards that you want to play because you're really going to be kind of drowning in bad card quality. And so, with that in mind, playing decks that we like and decks that aren't playing bad cards, I think we really kind of hit the nail on the head with this one with playing both Samira and Tristana. It doesn't matter what flavor of those that you want to be playing. I feel like your lineup should include at least some of that. I think you're leaving a lot on the table if you're passing on the power of Samira and you're passing on the power of Tristana and the Bandle Gunners, and so we have both of those included in our lineup. But the next kind of theme, the next kind of piece of the puzzle that I'm really kind of going for with this deck is number one, I want our deck to be good against Tristana. I don't feel like this is a meta where she can really be ignored. The deck is too popular and too good to kind of not be having it in mind. I don't really want to ban it. Excuse me. I don't think it's that good, but you have to kind of think of the style of gameplay that happens against these Tristana decks to where they just flood the board with shitty units and then kill you on turn 8. You can't be playing just like really mid-rangey kind of piles, as they'll just get blocked all day and your strategy gets shut down. And so we have all decks that can be capable of beating Tristana. We're fine in the mirror match. The Aatrox Vayne deck can control the board well enough. And then the Bruiser strategy is the kind of more classic way to beat them down. And so we get that a little bit out of the Samira Pantheon deck as well. So that's kind of piece number one. And then in terms of the picks and bans, we're just going to look to ban the deck that has the most big single target removal. And so this tends to be something like Karma Set. Karma Set having both concussive palms and tag out as a way to say just remove a 7-drop from the board, right? I really want to be able to focus in on a large unit if possible. That deck is the best at kind of canceling it. Once we move away from there, we can start to consider something like Heimerdinger Jace or something like a Nora deck in Noxus that plays the Lord Broadmains. Like, we're really looking to avoid those strategies to where they have that big collection of high impact removal. And so, again, Karma Set's fairly common. If you have the Lord Broadmane deck that's also playing Disintegrates and Scorched Earths, that's one that we're going to look to remove. Or if it comes down to further and further down the chain, you could look at something like Heimerdinger Jace, which typically plays both Vengeance and the Equipment Shock, whatever that gigantic 6-mana removal spell is. And so that's the idea. We can pull up the deck lists real quick. First and foremost, we have a very stock version of Aatrox Vayne. I do really like this against the Tristana decks in the sense that it's not particularly favored. It's still in that really near 50% space in the matchup, but it's certainly winnable. And if you get one of these early draws with a Blinding Assault plus a Darkened Harp, they don't have tons of ways to deal with it. And so I like that matchup there. And then having the big Darkened package is good against all the slower decks of the format. And so I'm reasonably happy with the tools that we get out of Aatrox Vayne. Nothing too crazy with the list here. Up next is our Samira Pantheon. This is the kind of oddity that I've been bringing with this deck list, to where we play the 6 equipment between the Ballista and the Lodestone, and then we include the Terrible Unit and Cosmic Youngling. And so we have this very high-powered turn 2 between the Cultist, the Youngling, and Samira with the big equipment, and that helps us develop the boards as we look to build up to Wounded White Flames and get that big late game punch with Pantheon. And so it does look a little bit different. We don't play the Fated units. We don't play the Empowered Lifesteal kind of guy. We're out here rolling hard with the Cosmic Youngling. Last but not least, we are playing Teemo Tristana, the Demacia version of this, if you will, and this is where we're looking to bring the full 3 copies of Champion Strength. That is the one piece I didn't really mention when I was talking about Karma Set being kind of a preferred ban, is if we look towards decks like Deep, they don't function that well against Champion Strength. And so if you look at Karma Set, they play Denies. That's kind of a bummer playing a deck like this, but if we can leave the opponent in control decks up that are not as good at dealing with Champion Strength, then we're going to have a bit of an advantage there. And so nothing too crazy out of this one. We aren't playing fish fights. We're playing the Buster Shots as our preferred way to take down Samira, but then we also have a few copies of Cataclysm to combo off with the Blood-Cursed Harpy, giving us those rally-like attacks. And so those are the decks. I'm ready for battle. I hope you are too. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So we got the Bird, got Leg Day, Pantheon at the gym, got the Rally deck, and we are ready to lock up. Oh man, I forgot to pay the pay-to-win price. It's so wild being out here on on the main account. I've been playing on the secondary account so much, but I forgot we got to pay to win on occasion, and this is the perfect time for Form Up. It's in both the Aatrox Vayne deck, and it's in the Tristana deck, and so I'm quite pleased to have access to that one. Doubling up the value, getting double usage across 2 decks. That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. Let's see if we can't pay to win a little bit. Get those victories we don't deserve because we spent all the money on the game. Come on, kitty. Everybody says, yo, Bus, this is a free-to-play game. How do you do so well? I just buy all the prismatic stuff. And so the key thing there, if you didn't know, is, you know, whenever you say you're getting ready to go out on a first date, a hot date, you fix your hair real nice, you take your shower for the week, you put on some fresh clothes, not something on the laundry pile, you know, that nice shirt that's been in the back of the closet. You know that you look good, you know that you feel good, things are just going to go nicely and go well, right? You don't have to worry about looking good because you know you look good. So that's one less thing to worry about on the day. Same thing applies with turning these cards prismatic, right? You get that prismatic version of Form Up in your hand. It just feels a little bit better. It knows, hey man, I'm looking good today. I got that prismatic treatment. I don't need to struggle. I'm ready to come out here and shine. All right, opponent has been found. Very similar lineup from the opponent with both Aatrox Vayne and Samira Pantheon. I'm fine enough to play either of these decks, whether it's a mirror match or not. I'm going to come out here and take away the Alawi deck. This is the kind of deck I would expect to have Scorched Earth in it. Maybe it's not going to have Disintegrate. Maybe it's not going to have both cards, but this is the one that's going to have that big targeted removal in it. I want to take that away from our opponent. And so they take away our Samira deck. Sounds good to me. I'll lead off with Tristana here. I feel like the Tristana deck is the best of the bunch that we have, and I'm willing to play an Aatrox Vayne mirror match if that's what it comes down to. All right, so let's get this started. could look to hang on to the form up here. This is gonna, well, this could potentially be one of these hands to where we play a Commando on 2, a Grandfather Fae on 3, and then we have a bit of protection in the form up. But I'd kind of like to keep a little bit more of the curve. But I think this will be okay. I'm trying to think in mind as like, well, we don't have to play the extra owl on turn 3, so we might get a profitable combat out of the form up. So I just worry a little bit about the likes of a Samira really coming in and taking down our high valued units.
You best believe I don't play.
All right, though, we got the Commando on board, ready to come out, do some of the old elusive attacking. And I think this should be okay. It's like we're going to fill out the board pretty quickly. We need to look towards this turn 6 champion strength. And so I'm going to take this route of using the Grandfather phase and the Owlcats to try and get a full board. And then on turn 6, we'll see if we can't just end the game with champion strength. So I don't want to throw away too much in terms of trades here. I think we could probably safely just add the Owlcat, but opponent has that option to gem up the Saga Seeker before the combat happens, and so I'm not gonna take that route here. Let's just add in the second Bandle Commando. See what the opponent does. I think this should be a safe enough block onto the Cultist. Just prevent that 1 point of damage. It's very tough for him to have a combat trick that actually comes in and kills the Commando there. We'll continue to bank. We'll get we'll have to, I guess, ask ourselves the question, and do we want to attack with any of these Owlcats this turn? And I don't really want to, but I kind of want to see if we can't get him to just go ahead and start dropping gems and see what happens. Interesting. He's cut himself down to 2 mana, so it's like if he plays the gem, he's probably not playing any more spells. These decks typically don't play All Out. They don't play Elixir of Iron. And so a Pale Cascade or something is very believable here, but having a gem plus another combat trick isn't. Okay. So, I mean, that's a pretty good round for our birds. If we want to go ahead and attack, we can look to form up and try and take down the wounded White Flame. I think that's good. It does weaken us a little bit in terms of trying to get this this champion strength on board. It means on this next turn we're only going to be able to spend 2 mana, but we're still going to have 5 units on the board spending that 2 mana, so I think it leaves us in a pretty good space, and he should have a reasonably tough time actually killing us this turn. This should be what you consider the kind of critical turn for the opponent to where they need to end the game, and it's kind of tough to do on turn 5.
The sun and stars will gaze upon you forever, my friend.
All right, here's the bird. What else you got for us? And equipment. So he's short of lethal on board. This attack would only take us to 12. You know, you can technically just take this in the sense that the question we're going to have to ask ourselves is he could play Samira and just kill us next turn, right? He could play the Flare, and if that's the case, we of course lose the game, but is opponent in a spot to where he really digs in this far to the game and doesn't play as Samira if he actually has it? And I don't think he does. And so I'm just going to take this damage. I know it's a little bit on the dangerous end of the spectrum, but it just seems so unrealistic to me that he's going to play a Samira here on turn 6 and actually come in and get the kill with us. We'll see if it's this leftmost card he plays and gets us with her, but I think this is a logically deduced, fairly safe space. I mean, I guess maybe with the 2 elusive units on board, we don't have to worry about it as much, but it's just like so brutal. If we say come in and block a unit with the Owlcat, we come into this turn and champion strength, and then he plays like a strike card to kill one of the birds, and then we're just not able to get a kill. So what did you hit, Pantheon? He didn't hit lifesteal. He didn't really hit any good stats. So Let's just go ahead and send the squad. Should be good enough to just end this with the Bandle Commandos, but might as well attack with everybody and try and clean some of this stuff out.
Why do you fight?
Let's get them, Bandle Commandos. I believe in you. All right. Victory unlocked. Good job, Champion Strength. On to the next one. Ooh, that's good. You gotta worry a little bit about that Pantheon hitting life steals, hitting hitting a elusive. There's some definitely good hits that we dodged off of him. I kind of meme about it a little bit, but I'm also kind of curious if Pantheon isn't just bugged. It feels like Pantheon hits Brash literally every single time. I don't know if it's just like that bias to where you remember things that have happened recently, but I can't remember a time I've played a leveled Pantheon and he hasn't hit Brash, and so I'm ultimately kind of curious if he isn't bugged or if he's actually functioning as intended. All right, but our attack here with the Elkin should be pretty safe. Opponent can make this Saga Seeker a 3/3, but he shouldn't be able to stat it up to where it's a better attack than the Elkin, or able to stop the Elkin, I should say. Bird comes in. No, it's a fairly reasonable play. I kind of like to just throw away the Elkin so that we get the equipment back in hand, and then we can put the equipment onto the Defector. So, pretty okay with that. Opponent's gonna have to like flare the Saga Seeker if he wants to make this attack, and then it's just not big enough to actually survive the Elkin. And so, it sounds well and good to me. Get our Fleet Feather Tracker on board. And then next turn we'll be able to Defector plus Darkened Spear. I think we still want a Darkened Spear, even picking up the Lodestone. Like this Fleet Feather Tracker is hooking Samira all the time, and so it's not gonna survive. There is some argument to want to give it that extra point of bonus attack, right now that Samira is gonna be a 4 health unit, but is it really worth going that big? Like, getting these +1/+1s is pretty nice, but I'm just going to stick with our Defector here. It's such a big blast of damage if he doesn't like try and throw Samira in front of it and play a combat trick. So let's make him put in the work. He's either going to get domed for 8 and give us a ton of stats, or he's just got to kind of throw away his Samira. Interesting. It's not enough to kill the Defector, so now we can get the Samira kill with the Fleet Feather Tracker. I'm on board. You did good, Bird. You did good. We got a cat out here as well. Did everybody see the kitty? People like to see the kitty when she turns up. She doesn't. She doesn't like it when I pick her up like that, but. A delightful little kitty out here. But now, at this stage of the game, the Wounded White Flame isn't that scary. I'm going to go ahead and add in Quinn. It's like if he gives the Wounded White Flame +2/+2 this turn, right? If he puts an equipment on it and another card, then we're primed and ready to come in and take it down. This still looks like a pretty terrible attack with the White Flame. Oh, he's got the Flare. I guess we're going to lose our Quinn, but that's okay. The question here is, do we want to like attack before we try and take down the Wounded White Flame, right? Or I'm sorry, do we want to equip first? We can also follow up with this just monstrous Aatrox if things go wrong here. I think that's the world we want to live in, although the Wounded White Flame is scary in the sense that if like he does something to help it win the combat with Valor, right? Say he plays a a Pale Cascade onto this, then the Wounded White Flame is going to have 8 attack and just be bigger than Aatrox. But I think I still like this. I don't like giving him the opportunity to play the Darkened Lodestone. If he wants to play a card like Pale Cascade, then he's not going to get the card draw off of it, and then the Guiding Touch is fine. Maybe we are pretty okay with just slamming Aatrox on this board, though. Like, if he's going to get really invested in this Wounded White Flame, and then we just add the giant Aatrox down, maybe we just play the weaker Aatrox this turn and offer up the trade. Right, the dragon's going to have 4 health at the end of combat. And I'd like to continue attacking for the round. I guess the other kind of interesting thing with actually having 2 Aatrox in hand is he flips into that strike spell. And so we might find ourselves with the Aatrox on board. And then having the additional one ready to strike. Man, it's going to feel so good to just take this White Flame down. I guess he's out of mana at this point and probably doesn't want to block this Aatrox, but it's like he's just in such a spot to where if we can actually pick up this trade, he has to just like start over all over again, and he should be pretty far behind. Like at this point, it's not to say that like Pantheon doesn't exist, but Pantheon is kind of like a requirement for him to come back at this point. So he should be flipped if he does have him, but without it, he's really going to be struggling here. And even at that, it's not like a super high valued Pantheon. All right, let's throw out some baits. I don't want to pass this turn like overbanking all the 7 mana. So then we're going to add the Elkin. We'll put a bad equipment onto it like the Darkened Bloodletters. And then we'll just start to pass until he attacks. Then once he's attacked, we'll play the bird after the fact. Try and get a better combat next round. There's the Pantheon. Let's see how bad it is. Alright, he didn't hit Brash, right? Elusive, Fearsome, Challenger, Spell Shield, Tough, Augment. We don't technically have to block this. We can just take the damage and then look to World Ender next turn. World Ender is going to cost 11, so we would need to pull off a 3 bank. I'm not excited about that, but we could put the Darkened Blade onto the Elkin and potentially... or we don't even... We can still block. How about we do this? We say block. Oh, you have Elusive, so we block over here. Because the problem with our hand at this point is if we want to World Ender... Well, this is interesting. Oh, he has Elusive. I'm trying to get the World Ender to be cheaper. But we don't get a strike this way. But we do get the unit back on board, and then we can put the Darkened Blade onto the unit and play the World Ender. Oh, we can't play the Bloodletters this turn? Oh, we messed this up. I guess the Darkened Spear is an okay replacement. I'm fine to be attacking with a Naka next round. Or hang on, we could have... I whoopsied that. We could have put the Darkened Blade in to get the Aatrox on board, but this might actually be a little better if we're able to get these additional units up and running instead of just having the 10-10. Because we wouldn't have had the mana to play any Darken this turn. What do we got? Big old boy. Nice 8-7 tough coming through. He's got to block one of them. I don't think he's particularly happy to add Harazi and then just have it die to everything that's already on board. Because I would suspect he's going to throw away Samira here and the next turn look to Harazi on the Pantheon to get a bigger attack rolling through. That makes a little sense to me.
What a shame.
All right, Samira makes the block. And form up. Freshly premiumed. Let's see what it can do. That's gonna be the deciding factor, right? Getting that form up on the board. I think I'm right. I think I'm right. All right, challenger coming in. So he hasn't targeted the Pantheon this turn. If he wants to hit him with the Fated, he can. I mean, dude, it's like, how much do we even care? Like, we aren't taking any damage on this round. We can add a flipped Aatrox after this. I think this is okay. Just let it happen. A lot can go wrong against this deck if we just start adding spells to the board. And so I do like that we just let that one go. We can add Aatrox, start dropping a bunch of big dum-dums down. And then the Pantheon should be kind of far away. It's like if he wants to play an equipment and a strike card, we should still be, you know, fairly safe here. Alright, I'm just gonna get the big squad down. Alright. You got all the gems. Can't feel good when you're putting gems on the board and your opponent's putting Darken down. It can't feel good, right? And a Cataclysm. I dig it. I don't want to lead with the Cataclysm, and we could say Cataclysm off of Striatu. Do we? Man, it's such a nice Cataclysm to say, like, send in here. We get the extra attack. We get the dum-dum off of the board. See if we can't spike a Darken to throw down. Yeah, why not just hit Striatu, right? Nice. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm gonna look to add the bird. We'll add the Darkened Harp. We'll still have access to form up. And Vayne's gonna come down this turn as well. I definitely want to hit a tumble. Might as well play her before combat as well, right? That's only 6 mana to get all that done. It's a tough day for the Nunu player. Is Nunu a Yeti? When do we get the Yeti set to come out? Everybody's all hype about trying to discern if the Poro King will be a Legends of Runeterra champion. Gotta get Nunu out here. His abominable friends. Do we ever just die to something here? Right, this deck doesn't have Cataclysm in it. I don't think we have to worry about anything. That would be the big thing playing against, like, Demacia Pantheon, right? They can play a Rally or they can play a Cataclysm. The Samira version only gets rallies off of Samira. So I think we should be safe. Not real sure why we're still playing this game. I'm ready to see how wrong I could be, but I'm pretty certain that this one should just be over. Cannot avert oblivion, my dude. Still coming at it. Shield Vault onto Anaka. Okay. You know what he's doing? He's just waiting to see if I click the wrong thing. I'm notoriously bad about clicking the wrong button. I bet that's what it is.
Demons walk among us, masquerading as men.
All right, looking pretty good now, though. I'm prepared to attack. Opponent has surrendered. GG, my friend. No goose eggs today. Pulling down a victory. Feels good. All right, next battle. Do y'all think we won that one because of the form up? We drew it, so that's what made it critical, right? We drew it, so it was critical. Made the rest of our hand all feel pretty good, and so I think that's what happened. It makes sense to me that that would be a reasonable outcome. Whew. Attacking with the Darken feels good though. I really wish we had some dark in the Tristana deck. It's a bit unfortunate that the Bandle City one doesn't see any play, but the Bandle City Darken actually got me like thinking a little bit as we've kind of run into this space to where people kind of figured out prize fight along with impact. And now that there's a lot of attuned stuff in Bandles, or a lot of attuned stuff in Bilgewater along to go with the big boat, I'm curious if there isn't something there now, because I also kind of just feel like the Bandle City, whatever his name is, Balakax, that's always been kind of like the worst Darken. But I'm curious, like I talked in the previous video about like planeswalkers and Magic and people needing like 6 months, a year to figure out that they were actually all pretty fucking good. I'm curious if we just haven't been in that kind of same space with the Darken equipment, because I really want to just play them in every deck. But here with this lineup, this is a pretty easy ban on Karma set. Again, we're happy enough to play against Aatrox Vayne. We aren't really dedicated to being good against Samira Fizz, but it doesn't carry with it the same problems that we tend to have coming from the Karma deck, right? We're still looking to block out the deck that has the answers to our big removal spells. Or, I'm sorry, they have the big removal spells to stop our kind of premier units, our expensive boys, but Samira Fizz, we do have some interactivity against, right? We have our own Samira here to potentially challenge some stuff down, and then we have all the challengers coming out of the Demacia deck. So we aren't just like playing deep against it, where where you just fold over because you have literally nothing to interact with the deck. All right, reasonable enough start. The thing that I have with these is I really want to find an equipment. I think that's one of the more important things that we can be doing here. I think it's okay to hang on to one cultist, just in case we need to go up the curve a little bit in our challenges, but the Samira should still be fairly good here in the early game, even without an equipment to boost up the cultist.
Oh boy, here I go!
What up, Fizz? All right. Now, this is an interesting spot. The thing you got to worry about here is heavy metal, right? This is such a really high-powered play to play the Samira and then put the Wandering Shepherd onto her. But if that falls apart, then we're just like so super far behind. And I think I want to come in and potentially try to just level up our Pantheon a little bit quicker here. And so I'm going to take the slower route. I'm going to gem up the Lunari Cultist. Next turn, I'm going to look to hit it up with the Wandering Shepherd. And then ideally, we'll hit an equipment that'll let us combat through this Jagged Butcher. Just it feels like way too all-in-y to be trying to load up the Samira. So here we'll just go with the Sandsworn Amulet. I want to be able to block. This is one of the matchups where you can kind of reasonably look to take the Shepherd's Rod. There's not a ton of units you can actually block out of this thing, but the Fearsome equipment's still good. It does let you attack through a lot of their units fairly safe. Not excited about Inferna. Let's just go ahead and destroy her while we have the opportunity. It's going to count as our target for the turn, so we're leveling up pretty nicely. And then next turn we do start to have access to Samira. So see how this plays out. No draws. Beautiful. Beautiful. If he wants to attack with Fizz, he's got to pop off a spell now. Oh, beautiful round. Beautiful round. Could not have asked for better than that. So with this round, like we want to play Samira. We want to play the Challenger thing, and then we want to be able to have Expanse's Protection. So that's going to be 5 mana, right? 2 for Samira, 1 for the Challenger, 2 for the Expanse's Protection. So we can still drop a gem onto the cultist if we need to, but let's just give it a hot second and see if we wouldn't prefer to load up a gem onto Samira. Opponent shouldn't have any ways to just come in and deal 3 damage to the cultist, so I think we're going to be safe in that sense. Now, up against Inferna, I'm definitely going to challenge her down. I think we want to switch it up here, though. Let's put the gem onto Samira. Now she can safely attack. We'll put the flare onto the 4-3. The 4-3 is going to hook Inferna. Don't want them getting a bunch of card draw off of her. Now, we should be fairly safe. Ooh, what a beautiful round. Beautiful. Ooh, that nerf from that nerf from 5 to 4 health has been incredibly monumental this game. It's insane to see things kind of play out like that. But how are we going to handle this one? We could look to just go ahead and put the Darkened Lodestone onto Samira, make him put in a lot of work if he wants to try and take ours down, and then when he does go for it, we have access to either a Hush from the Tellstones or a Strike out of the Furious Wielder. The thing to kind of watch out for is if we actually plan on flipping her this turn, and I don't think we do. We're kind of 1 spell short at this point, but let's see how this goes. Let's go ahead and load her up with the Lodestone, and then see if we can't give her a little protection. You can pivot to just hooking in on the Lunari Cultist, but that's not that big of a deal. She's most certainly put in the work today. All right, flare onto Samira. All out. She looks ready to get hushed. I'm curious what, like, there's a very high percentage chance that he saw a Furious Wielder, so he should know that that's kind of on the table. Like, and then I guess the biggest disaster for opponent would be if they saw Expansive Protection, Camphor, and Flare, and then just missed out completely on all of our interactivity. So I'm kind of curious how that actually played out with what they saw here. He can't play any Furious Wielders. He's not equipped on anyone. So that was our flare, right? Swindle created the flare. And a Burblefish. Okay, beautiful. So we're in pretty tip-top shape here now.
Beautiful and brutal, just how I like it.
So who all has Challenger? It's on his Samira. So we're just gonna strike her down. Man, I wonder if he really did just see this. The protection came for flare and took the flare. It's wild. Do we want to preemptively flare? There are a lot of good kind of like 1-cost cards, but I don't think I'm going to play around that here. Alright, so we should be able to get a Samira flip this way. Not really worried about the 5 damage coming in from the Burblefish and the Fizz. I think we're in decent shape. Are we willing to just put the Samira in front of the Jagged Butcher? Again, like, he has the 1 generated card. Parlay is in the mix, but God, that's such a high roll to hit it in this space. And I think even if he did hit it here, we're still in pretty good shape. It sucks to lose the Samira in that fashion, but being able to follow up with Camphor next turn, I think, is going to be more than enough. You can just take the Camphor and slam him into Fizz. All right, who's ready for the mini movie? Gotta turn that guy premium as well. he's not premium yet. Okay. Oh man, we got another kitty. Come on, dude. This is the dumb one. He's just gonna walk around. He's just gonna walk around the old computer here for a bit.
No moon, no sun.
Oh, so let's put the burble fish in front of the camphor. It does less damage. Flip the fizz with the Samira. If he wants to trade his shark for the cultist, I'm fine. I can't imagine the opponent ever wins the game giving up the shark like this, but no complaints. No complaints. And so now at this point, we should be able to rally on the opposing turn and just come in and get the win like that. Come on, bud. Oh. So heavy. Here he is. Says, what up, internet? I'm all blurry in the video. He doesn't want to be picked up like that either. Poor guy. Poor guy. Alright, so what's going on here? He gets a Tusk Speaker. We needed to play, probably should have responded to that, but if we want to get the rally here at burst speed, we can. So we should be able to just come in and win the game, right? So if we're going to put a spell shield on Samira, going to send the flare to the Nexus. Play the Tellstones. Might as well pick up the Blessing of Targon. Load up the Samira. Now it's time. Boom it. GG. All right. Good job, fam. Ooh, that's crazy, though. I talked a lot in our patch review video in the sense that it doesn't sound like a big change to Karma, just taking Karma from 4 health to 3. But like if we're looking at how tight the win rates are for a lot of these decks, like once a deck hits a 55% win rate, that's the point when Riot starts to think about nerfing it, and it doesn't take a whole lot to really drop in a single point of win rate. And so in the sense that, you know, it doesn't feel like that Karma change was very much, but for it to matter in like 1 of 100 games to switch a win from a loss because you had to play Karma in the middle of the game, she gets hit with Aftershock or Petricite Broadwing or something and dies when she previously wouldn't have, and that's what kind of cascades you into losing. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it certainly adds up really, really quick. Now here, this is kind of interesting. I can't decide if we want to hang on to the Night Ranger Defector. I think it's too expensive at this point, because we're going to be playing the Broadwing on 2, and then we're just like already set up on for our turn 4, Blinding Assault plus Darken Harp. And so I think I'm okay to just let it go. Came right back though. So he's what are you doing, Bust? I am too good. All right, we'll add in the Broadwing. We have to worry about the opponent doing the same thing as well, right? If he's going to drop a Blinding Assault, put a Darkened Harp on it. I like having the Broadwing being at full health with tough, right? If we get to, say, pass this turn, not worry about this Elkin, and then on the next turn, just take it. But this is a different story now, right? Now that he's loaded up the Elkin, if we just get the trade, we go into turn 3, he can play the bird, but then he doesn't have the mana to replay the sword. Alright, well, spoiler alert, not blocking. Not blocking. Go ahead and drop our bird. See if the fish fight comes in. It still feels like a bit of a win if he doesn't get to add any cards and has to fish fight the Elkin back to hand. Or fish fight the harp back to hand. You thought on that for a real long time. I don't think we can get away from this. I think we're in too deep, but it feels like he's gonna have the removal for our bird. Yep. So we have a couple of choices now in that do we want to potentially just go ahead and play the Night Ranger Defector right? We've equipped a unit, so he's going to have Scout. Not quite ready to play Vayne. But I think him growing the Elkin with the Harp is probably better than I want to see. Just pass. I feel like we're far enough ahead on board for this to be okay. And he's got to play something this turn, right? If he doesn't play something this turn, I feel like that's exceptionally good for us. All right, let's see if we can take this dum-dum down now that he's spent a bunch of mana. All right, not bad. Oh, and then he doesn't have a play. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I'm good to take a Badger Bear hit this turn. That's not a particularly big deal. Let's go ahead and add in the Defector. I really want to have the Defector and the Darkened Harp rolling through the next turn. We'll see if he gets in the way of that too much. He does not. Okay. So we'll fall to 8. Feel fairly safe about that. Here's the Harp we've already played. See if we can't start churning through. We definitely want to get this Vayne on board next turn so we can look to make these big scout attacks off of the Defector and then tumble the Defector 2 turns from now. Oh. Oh, bird. That was a literal perfect draw here. Let us get the bird, the second Darkened Harp, and then still play the Vayne and get the tumble for next turn. Look to tumble the Defector, get the rally. I dig it. I dig it all. Pretty good looking board there. No trick. Uh-oh. You gotta give him an uh-oh on that one. We're just lethal now if he doesn't have another card. 13 into 11. That's it. GG. Mark it a W for bust.
A sentinel's work is never done.
The Sentinel's work is never done. Truer words have never been spoken. Alright, next battle. Whew. I'm still amped about that Inferno. That was crazy, right? That was crazy. Getting to take her down 2 separate times because we just had a 4 attack unit. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be so bamboozled by that, but it feels so good. I haven't seen Samira Fizz in a long time. It was such a ever-present deck in the previous format. And then it just kind of, I mean, I guess they did nerf like 5 cards out of the deck, but still. It seems like something that should still stick around. It seems like something that you can probably take into best of 3, because I have to imagine that it still just like annihilates stuff like Deep, and it probably still annihilates things like Karma Set, even with the changes to the deck. Like I can't imagine it taking it until like turn 9 or turn 10 to actually win the game, and so like it should still be good against Karma Set. And then Deep, like what does Deep do against something like Samira Fizz? Just say, here's an Abyssal Eye on turn 6. I'm gonna hope it can block something. Like it sounds like it has to be miserable, and so I'm curious if it may not be potentially a great best of 3 or a great ladder deck right now, but is something to play in best of 3. I'm still in the camp. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I feel like you need to be coming out here and just playing the cards that don't suck, and that most certainly involves playing some flavor of Samira. I was thinking of trying to come out with Samira Leona. I couldn't quite pull the trigger on it. I have a couple of problems with Samira Leona that really involve playing against Tristana. Right? It sucks so much to have your Leona stuns land onto a spell shielded bird. That feels pretty terrible, but I think the real kind of like crux of terribleness is the nerf to Temple Guardian, whatever the 3-cost Sunburst is, losing his point of health. Now that unit, if you play it on turn 3 and it's only a 3/3, and then your opponent curves a Grandfather Fae into a bird, that bird just completely annihilates everything that your your game plan wants to do. That 1-drop generated card is enough to kill the opposing 3-drop, and it's also capable of soaking Leona stuns. Like, it's such a brutal ability that it's able to pop off with there. So I just don't think it's in the place to be. I'm not entirely certain what I want the Samira deck to be. I just know that we should have one. It's so tough. Like in that previous format, I just didn't play Samira Fizz. Like we made a video for it, and I played a little bit more of it after that. But I was just so like non-interested in playing the deck. It's just not something that I find particularly appealing, and I didn't want to play a ton of mirror matches in the best of threes, and so. We played Samira with something else. I don't even remember what we played. It all starts to run together at some point. In the last Runeterra Open, we played our Udyr Jarvan deck. We played we played Leona with Garen because Jarvan was taken, and then we played Samira in something. I just don't remember what that something was anymore. I'm sure somebody out there remembers, just not me. All right, how much Q are we gonna have today? I worry about this in a sense. With there's been a lot of talk and a lot of discussion about the matchmaking in terms of the Runeterra Opens and playing against people with the same records. I think it's kind of fine in the early parts of the day, like especially if the event starts at, I don't know when it actually starts, but if it starts at like 9 a.m. Pacific time, if you start playing in the event at like 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific, you should probably just cruise through the whole thing without ever having to double up on opponents. But I'm really kind of curious early in the day and later in the day how that's gonna pan out. But here, what do we got? We got Heimerdinger Jace. We got the Alawi Swain, and then the Tristana deck that we're not going to ban. His Tristana's with Bilgewater and not Demacia, though. And so this, I'm leaning towards banning out the Heimerdinger Jace. I'm not certain which of these is more problematic in terms of the big removal spells. I would imagine, the Jace plays both Vengeance and it plays Hexobliterator, as to where the Swain deck probably has Disintegrates, maybe not Scorched Earths, but outside of that equation, assuming that these decks are kind of equal, I would think the Alawi deck is a little bit more challenging for something like our... just like the big Alawi attacks does play well against a lot of what we're doing. So I'm going to leave that Heimerdinger Jace up, and then we'll... take away the Alawi Swain. It just strikes me as Alawi Swain being kind of like a tier 3 deck, right? When we were talking at the beginning of the video about, you can't really play a bunch of aggro decks in this format because there's not enough good cards going around. That's how I kind of feel like you land on Alawi Swain, is like you wanted to play this like kind of certain lineup and you're just stuck playing these terrible cards. I don't know. It doesn't strike me as being incredible. But no early plays. We got 9 early plays in the deck. We didn't see any there. We got a mulligan. Cosmic Youngling turning up to do the work. Oh, I dig it. Surprisingly effective against a lot of the units coming out of this deck. A lot of 1 health bros hanging out. Get the big attack potential. It really needs an equipment to start to shine, but I'm definitely glad we picked up something here. And there it is. We got the Darkened Ballista, primed and ready, locked and loaded, ready to hit up on the Cosmic Youngling. Feels good. Feels good, man. Oh, all the Younglings. Younglings coming at you, son. Someone just said, what? What just happened? Alright, I'm going to wait to play the Darkened Ballista. If we find ourselves wanting to play a Pale Cascade this turn, I want to have access to the mana. Did anything just change now that we've picked up the Wandering Shepherd? I don't think so. I mean, is he really going to be like Buster shotting the Cosmic Youngling? He doesn't have the capabilities to do that just yet. I don't like this as much. Like I'm curious if on that we miss out the target playing this a little bit slow, and it's like now I'm in the spot to where I just want to attack with all the younglings. Youngling aggro coming through. Feels good. Feels good, man. Oh, and the second ballista? Locked and loaded on these younglings, my dudes. I'm gonna hold off on that ballista, though. I want to get the Wandering Shepherd just to make sure we have an extra unit on board here. We got Pot of Pain. Definitely don't want to make our youngling incapable of blocking. Now we still have the Pale Cascade mana. We can block with this Wandering Shepherd if we need to. Looks good.
This all we got? Hey, I've done more with less.
Our blocks here, pretty choice. You do have to worry about something like a prize fight. If he's able to prize fight and take a unit down to 1 health, like he has the Piltover Castaway, which is a fantastic prize fight target. But okay. Just the full on shutdown from the Team Cosmic Youngling here. And again, since he's not playing Demacia, we don't have to worry about Champion Strength coming at us. Wounded White Flame, easy addition. I was gonna look to play the Darkened Ballista before we attacked, just to make sure we have a target for these Pale Cascades. But with the Wounded White Flame coming on board, I still feel pretty good here. He's gonna take the 4/1 block onto the White Flame, and we'll have to Pale Cascade, but not a problem. There's the prize fight. Okay, not a bad round. Our dragon lives to fight another day.
Tristana going in. Looking splendid, sir. Very mayoral.
You know his handsome mustache
Right.
keen, inspires trust and all.
We should be reasonable in the face of Tristana. We got all these removal spells.
Like to life, garlic works in a pinch.
Like, we shouldn't have to worry about too much with the Wounded White Flame. You do have to worry about it getting popped by a Buster Shot, but in the current state of things, we can come in and just get around it. Oh, he hasn't seen both ballistas yet. Alright, so here is the easy block with the Wandering Shepherd. I think we want to put the 2/6 in front of the Owlcat. We'll put our White Flame in front of Tristana, and then I'm going to Wielder at the Tristana, try and take her down. Teemo's going to flip off of this attack. We do have to worry about him a little bit, but I think we should be fairly safe here. Like, if he has signposts, he can counterspell the Furious Wielder, but that's usually it's not included in every deck, and it's not usually more than a 1 of. So he was pushing something forth. We might be getting hit with the signpost here, but I think this is still a fair block. I definitely don't want to be taking 1,000,000 damage off of this Tristana. Okay. There's that Teemo flip.
No dessert, no.
All right. be nice to draw a champion. That's been kind of like the real pain point for us in this game is haven't seen a champion up to this point. Now he's definitely getting wider than us across the board. He's only down to 1 card in hand, which is, you know, a little nice for us, but yeah, that was painful. So let's improvise so we get the target. We'll just pick up the combat reel. We'll come in and put the Pot of Pain back onto the Wandering Shepherd. Oh, we can't really do that, right? We need, if we're gonna be Whirling Deathing next turn, like we need to Whirling Death into Tristana off of the Nox and Tailstones, we need the Wandering Shepherd to have 4 attack. Maybe we come in and just fix our equipment again. So let's put the Pot of Pain in here. I don't want our units dying to group shot. We're just short. It is what it is. Buster shot. Dang. Yeah, so we don't have a way to get this youngling up to the proper attack. Yep, we're just dead. That's tough though. It'll happen on occasion where you just don't draw any champions. Which is this? Any usefuls we can kill? We can try and take down Teemo. Still lethal. Okay. I feel like that game went surprisingly well. Given, like, if we had a Samira, we would have turned that instantly. If we picked up a Pantheon at some point, he could have done quite a bit of work. But with neither champion turning up along the way, just kind of a real pain point. All right, let's switch over to our Teemo deck. This is it should be the stronger of our matchups going against Heimerdinger Jace. Heimerdinger Jace is not particularly good at dealing with a champion's strength. All right, reasonable early plays. Blood-Cursed Harpy's another one that's pretty tough for Heimerdinger Jace to deal with, so maybe we'll get some good usage here. Not something you really want in your opener, but strong card nonetheless. Don't get us with that Quietus. Nope.
Remember, we're the ones who make progress happen.
All right, get in there, Teemo. Do we ever want to block this Forge Chief with Teemo? Like, I don't want to get it like too wrapped up in my head that we are able to drop the Wandering Shepherd onto him and potentially give him some stats. I think it's probably too greedy. Let's just let him go. It's still pretty good putting the Wandering Shepherd onto the Bandle Commando. It's just like once you've been hit by a scout Teemo, it just kind of lingers in your head forever, and you know that it's something you have to worry about. All right, Wandering Shepherd coming in. Let's pick up the combat reel. We can probably get some usage out of the extra spell mana, especially once these equipments start coming back to hand. And so we don't have a hand to where it looks too compelling right now, but if we're going to be playing the combat next turn, spending all of our mana, then the Wandering Shepherd 2 turns from now, that gives us a spot to where we might get essentially a free equip. Okay. Rip Teemo. Do we ever want the Shepherd's Authority? I think it's okay here. I just think I just want to pile on the stats. Don't think I'm quite ready to drop Tristana. I mean, maybe we do. Like, are we ever going to really get usage out of her? Like, we definitely don't have one of these hands to where we can just load her up with a ton of stats. Kinda okay with like if we play her, she's a tough to remove, right? He needs a Vengeance or a Hexbliterator.
I'm Tristana, and I take point.
This is kind of one of these neat spots to where she's a pretty must answer kind of unit. And if he does, play the big answer, it's going to take a lot of mana to do so.
Oh dear.
And then, of course, she just comes right back. She says, I got your back, fam. I got your back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. All the Reggies coming through.
If it's a people problem, I'm your man.
We could have looked to say maybe play the combat cook and try and pick up a scout, but that's a fairly dangerous way to go about it. He hits the Hexbliterator off his Pharaoh's Fancier. Not bad, not bad.
Reporting for duty.
Do we want to fix him 5,000 here? I'm leaning towards picking up the amulet because he just can't block, right?
Fighting food and cooking
Reggie can't get in front of this guy now, and we get to slam in for the big damage. Like he has to block Tristana, so he's going to be looking to take 9 on the round. So he's going to throw away all of his units, block Tristana and the Shepherd. Take 3 impact plus 6 for 9. Gets us really close to a kill with the Bandle Gunners. Premium form up here to save the day. Here to save the day. So that slipped my mind. I forgot the Bandle Gunners isn't multi-faction. I was like, okay, I want to get the Bandle Gunners on board with 4 impact. If it has 4 impact, we should just outright win the game, given that even if he has some kind of block play for it, it should be enough to just come in and survive it. The thought was good, but the execution didn't work out.
Requires just 1.21 gigahexes.
Alright, well, he's going to be coming at us with the floor be gone, then we'll just take our open attack next turn. Hopefully enough to end the day. Good enough to kill both units? Sure is. So let's protect the combat cook. He has impact. Then when the Wandering Shepherd dies, we at least get the equipment back in hand. We're not going to be able to not going to be able to deal physical combat damage this turn, but ideally with the 3 impact off the Bandle Gunners and then 1 other unit hitting, we should have enough. 3 impact on Tristana as well. It's like I just try to imagine in my head a situation to where Tristana survives, and I don't think it really happens, but you can't start. The opponent can start to do stuff where they say like block a Bandle Gunners with a wrench bot and then Mystic Shot the wrench bot. So you may have an angle here to where he gets to like high note. Can you high note your own units? Who plays those terrible cards, right? Who plays those terrible cards? There we go. That's probably enough for opponent to win the game now. But we'll see. He's got another elusive, but we have a buster shot to take it down. Still not feeling very good about this. Maybe we should have Shepherd's Authority the Grumble Slug just to give it a a little bit of a health boost. You'd typically be pretty excited about a Blood-Cursed Harpy, but it's pretty unlikely to actually deal any damage next turn.
Breaking invention to date.
That was tough. That was the Hexbliterator off of the Fancier is what really did us in here. Oh boy. I think we're just dead now, right? Yeah, he's gonna have 14 elusive. Whew, that's tough. That's tough. I don't think we missed any damage along the way. Did we really lose both games? Is that right? I guess it is. I thought we won the first game. Apparently we didn't. GG's, my dude. All right, see if we can't keep that dream alive. I've been pretty good at going 2-2 in these things. It's tough. It's tough. These definitely have pretty tough competition. I feel like the competition in the Ruthless Rumbles is more challenging than the Runeterra Opens, and so we'll see if that changes as the matchmaking changes in the Open. But I've definitely just like looking at the deck tracker and seeing if the opponent is in Masters. Like you typically just run into a lot more Masters competition in the Rumbles, but it's not such an amazing kind of barometer for success anymore, given that it's a little bit easier to get into Masters now than it used to be, and then there's actual reasons to not just sit around and grind and play the ladder, and so you do have a lot of players that are exceptionally good and then just don't even bother with the ladder. Just play in the gauntlets and then play in scrims and pre-made games kind of offline, and so not nearly the indicator that it used to be. All right, let's see if our match gets found here. Seems like the button went away, but the countdown timer is still going. I'm gonna assume that we don't have a match, but we'll see. Oh, there they are. Here it comes. And so what do we got? We got Heimerdinger, Jace, Karma Set, and then Aatrox Vayne again. Happy enough to ban out the Karma Set. We ran into this before. Again, the Heimerdinger Jace isn't the most appealing matchup, but it has less of the problem cards than we get out of the Karma Set deck. And so I'm happy enough to send that one away. Let's just go ahead and start with Teemo in this one. See if we can't get ourselves a victory. Surprised to see him ban off the Aatrox Vayne. I'm curious if they just don't like to play mirror matches. It strikes me as neither of those decks really want to play against Samira Pantheon. Maybe Heimerdinger Jace certainly has the tools it would need to be able to beat it, but it doesn't really seem like the prime time matchups it would be looking for. All right, are we gonna play some games today? There we go. There we go. The game is loaded now. We'll hang on to our 2-drop and get rid of everything else. See if we can't pick up some more earlier plays. We cannot. We did not do a good job of picking up earlier plays. But see what we can do. I would feel like a little bit better about a hand like this if we were on the even attack tokens, so that we can say play the Grandfather Fae on turn 2, maybe attack, whatever, and then on turn 3, after opponent plays their cards, we get the chance to play Tristana, and then after she's kind of safe on board, then on turn 4 we would have that potential to open with a unit and get the bonuses flowing to Tristana before the opponent has a chance to remove her. But didn't come together like that. It's okay. I'm a little bit worried about this Forge Chief just up and running around, since he did manage to get that hit in. He's got the 6 mana here, so he can certainly drop some spells on us. I'm kind of curious if we want to actually take the Shepherd's Authority here to keep us from getting shock blasted, right? I really feel like if we take this turn and just get shock blasted, we're going to get blown up. It's tough to pass on a combat reel when we already have champion strength in hand, but it's just like absolute complete disaster mode If we play the combat reel, he shock blasts both of our units, and then we don't have anything on board, and next turn he gets to open with the Forge Chief and start regenerating their mana again. Like, that's just completely savage, and so I think we have to go with the Grandfather Fay. Now it's like he has the option here to, you know, take it a little bit differently. He could have potentially blocked the Grandfather Fay and then shock blasted it at the end of the day, but doesn't go that route. It's a pretty meaty production surge. Going to give him a lot of blockers for the remainder of this game. Oh boy, just a absolute disaster. Well, how are we going to get ourselves out of this one? I'm not opposed to playing Tristana just to get a unit on board that can block one of these wrench bots and survive. We're not going to have time to add a unit, because he's just going to
Firepower solves everything.
he's just gonna attack as soon as the token comes back to him. He's not gonna play any one-cost cards here, and so I think we can get Tristana on the board, get a block in. We can add an Owlcat here. We can add a Grandfather Fay next turn. That's gonna get Tristana flipped and get the stats kind of flowing. So let's see if that plays out the way we want. Here comes the rest of the units. You knew that those were coming.
Stop that.
Now we're at that magical place to where we just die to a Jace Shock Blast. And so it's not really that ideal. But let's see if we can't get out in front of this. The kind of like hope and dream we have with this board state, at least, is that if we play the Grandfather Fay, it's going to flip the Tristana, and then we can protect her with the form up so that she doesn't die to any of the 3 damage removal spells. So we gotta have something go right here. He most certainly didn't production surge into a single unit and then drop the Hextech Handler. That would have been a lot more ideal for us. Even if it had just been like a 5 and a 1 or a 3 and a 3, getting the four units on board was pretty impressive.
What you got for us, Nugget?
All right, and so we're not really incentivized at this point to attack with our 1 health units. We're going to attack with the Grandfather Fay and the Tristana, but the rest of these I think we might as well leave at home. If we're just going to come in and start trading with the opponent, it's not going to give us any advantages. We don't have enough refill here. We need to come into this next turn, survive, and then 2 turns from now, drop the champion strength to try and win the game with. So we need to start clearing out whatever we can on this board. Both of these are actual buster shots. We can drop a buster shot onto the wrench bot. I worry about losing our Tristana at that point, though. I think we want to wait and see if he spends any mana here. Like, we can still realistically win the game with just like Tristana, Bandle Gunners, and Champion Strength, and so I think we want to play it just a little bit slow here. That would give us like an impact 6. And so if we attack, we'd have 3 impact on Tristana, 3 impact on Bandle Gunners. So we could basically attack twice and ideally have that get the kill. But if we do look to drop a Bandle Gunners this turn, we're not going to be able to well, it's still okay, right? Next turn we'll have 7 mana, so if we only end up playing the form up this turn, we can still champion strength next turn. Opponent didn't like that attack. He says, I got some more. I got some more for you, Bust. But we're pretty much stuck blocking everything. We can let the Forge Chief through. Just take the 2 damage from it. That's going to
In their boots.
drop us to 4. I won't drop to 3 here. I won't drop to where we just die to Shock Blast. What you got? Vengeance onto Tristana. Alright. Well, we got a Buster Shot now. Can't just take all this. It makes it a little easier on our blocks, but we're not going to be able to champion Strength next turn. We're going to be counting on these Vandal Gunners to do the work. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't seem like an incredible turn for the opponent, right? We talk about this concept a lot to where you're just trying to like the concept of just kind of refilling your board. We have a lot easier time refilling our board than the opponent does theirs. And so it's weird to see them come in and just throw all their units away. I'm curious if they just already have another production surge in hand. We're just like a little bit short of mana to do greatness, though. We can add the Combat Cook. That's what gives us access to these spells. I think that's kind of where we're stuck here. Either of these are fine. I'm going to go with the Pot of Pain. He's not going to die to any of the cheaper spells, but ideally, if the opponent plays like an assembly line here, we can still attack with the Combat Cook and have it survive and have a blocker down for next turn. We might find ourselves being able to play Champion Strength next turn. Got to get Jace off the board, though. If he has a second Jace in hand, then we just lose the game. He's already got that 6 mana, so I think we have to attack. We have the lethal coming off of the attack, so that might be enough. He's at least forced to block, but it's just too easy that if we like send it back, if we like try to play a card and then we go into his turn and he's able to Shock Blast us, then we just lose the game. All right, though, we got him down to that magical 3. If we get the Champion Strength next turn and attack, we can still take this one down. It doesn't feel good. This feels like one of these games to where we lost it like 5 turns ago, but we're in it just enough to make it feel like we got a shot. If we run into that 2%er where the opponent just doesn't have it, then we can come in and take it down. He's going to just boom us with Albus Pharos or something, but it's nice. It's nice being in this spot, I think. Production surge. That's not going to be delightful. How bad is it this time? Well, he's completely tapped out of mana, and now we can't kill us. And so that's at least a bonus. He was looking to hit on just on enough to get the lethal. And so again, it kind of sucks we're not able to get the kill this turn. But if we're able to go into next turn with a Bandle Gunners on board, then we have a win there. And then we can also look to put the Shepherd's Authority onto Bandle Commando to give us another angle to potentially take this one down. It's always better to have 2 options in the kill than just the 1 option for the kill, right? You're right on that one, Bust. You most certainly are right. You can say it if you want. You can say it if you want. All right, drops us to 3. Feel a lot better if we just had a Cataclysm in hand and we could just get it, just drop that win right from the start. Oh, you're tapped out. Uh-oh. Thinking on it real hard. There shouldn't be any fast speed ways for him to get out of this combat, and so again, we die to Shock Blast, but Like he can't play a piercing light. He can play a bunch of things like high notes and mystic shots, but that's a pretty tough way to try and take down all these cards. We might have snuck this one out. And then the other kind of sneaky thing here is if he does do something like that previous opponent, to where they blocked our impact unit and then killed off their own unit with Mystic Shot. If he has to spend a bunch of mana in this combat but doesn't kill off our units, we do still have access to Champion Strength. Alright. He's coming in for the blocks like this one isn't done. Squeeze them cheeks. Fellas, ladies, people of the world, squeeze them tight. I don't want to leave anybody out. Everybody's got a butt, right? You can't not have a butt. I guess you could not have legs or something. That's terrible. That's terrible. But trying to be as inclusive as we can. Hi. GG. You probably got something else to squeeze, right? If you can't squeeze your butt cheeks for whatever reason, you can squeeze something else. All right, with GG, he didn't have it. He did have the Vengeance on his own impact unit, but we were able to still get the damages in. All right. Off against Aatrox Vayne. Reasonable start here. I don't want the Nox and Tellstones. This is one of these spots where the hand can be, a little bit awkward. I would like to get both the Cultist and the Lodestone and the Wounded White Flame on the board, but we're going to be a little bit too slow to do all of that. I still like this curve, though, of dropping the Cultist into the White Flame and then just gemming. Gets us that nice 4/4 Wounded White Flame. You coming in, Bird? I'm gonna see him play a bird, and then we just drop a Stellacorn. I was so happy with those Stellacorns in the Teemo matchup earlier, but wasn't enough to take it down there. Harps are a problem. Harps are a problem. He is, kind of thankfully down to 2 cards at this point, but we aren't really protected on our Wounded White Flame. Like, we can drop the White Flame and make it a 4/4 and pass. We did pick up the Pale Cascade, so if he wants to hook in on the White Flame on his next attack token, we have the protection we need to hopefully survive. But many dangers here, especially if we say play Wounded White Flame and then he's got a fish fight. That would just be disaster mode. I wonder if we should just be passing here. Thankfully, he didn't boom us. But right, we have the tools we need to go into the next turn and like actually protect, so we could take the 3 bank into turn 4. I mean, maybe that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
All right, we got our big dragon now, though. Need you to do a lot of work. I would think he's probably... Oh, he isn't just passing on the scout attack. All right. Can we just take this one? That would drop us to 14. What happens here? Our dragon becomes a 7/3, but then it runs into problems with the Fleet Feather Tracker. I think with the way our hand is right now, we have to just take this so that we can get into combat with the bird. So we'll take 8, fall to 6. Still relatively healthy. But we do have to start to worry at that point about him getting wider than us. Oh boy, wow. Wow, that was excellent. That was excellent. We could not have asked for more out of that. What do we got for our dragon here? Do we want the combat reel? It feels just so much safer to pick the Fix 'em 5000. Just get that. We're just going to be kind of all in on that one big unit at this point, but I think I like it. Let him more safely attack. We can re-equip the Wandering Shepherd after the fact, but it's not going to get in the combat here.
A slight adjustment.
All right. Getting takedowns, that's what we need, right? Our our weak point here, and what I really kind of expected opponent to do, was to just get wider than us. And so he got that 4 damage in, then he would go for a hook onto the Wounded White Flame, get in for like that 8 damage. Now we'd be at 6. And now that we are at 6, he's able to attack with the squad and you know, just get around us, since we're really just going tall on the one unit. I'm just going to stop here. I mean, we could look to Blessing of Targon. That's a 6 mana play, though. I don't think I'm quite ready for that. Give the dragon a new equipment and a pot of pain. Beautiful. It is a little scary to kind of pass up on the scout equipment, but again, like, we're in this spot. If we lose our dragon, the game's just done. So doing whatever we can to protect him is a pretty big deal. Now opponent's out of cards. Beautiful. So we just want to get the best combat that we can. I think we want to put this Fix Him 5000 onto a dude. Does it even get us anywhere, though? Not really. Let's just pass.
Where's my hammer?
Alright, so we'll bring in a Hush. It's going to take down the 1. And we got to block the other one. Still going to lose our unit here. Taking a variety of damages. Yeah, we're going to be short of getting the kill on the next turn. I was hoping we'd be able to block one more of these kind of smaller units. But given that attack, you can see exactly what I was talking about and what I was expecting to happen like 3 and 4 turns ago, is just giving up that singular hook from the bird to just crash in for 1,000,000 damage, and then you get to spread out with these units again. And so here, like, if we don't draw Pantheon, we're probably just dead. We really need to spike a big Pantheon here. Otherwise, he's just going to be wider than us. The Cosmic Youngling may be enough to barely squeak by, but I don't really believe it. Let's see what we can do. Maybe he'll block. This isn't the most like compelling of attacks, and so can't really force it. We're gonna have to start cycling more of these cards. We'll play Pale Cascade, see if we can't pick up another thing. Maybe we should have Pale Cascaded first. See if we pick up Pantheon. We didn't. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Furious Wielder. Like, as it stands, I want to have the mana to just do stuff next turn. And I don't want to be in the spot to where we draw our card, it's not a unit, and then we're looking to just say, like, add Harazi, and we just don't have the mana to do everything. Giral was a pretty nasty addition. You should just be opening here.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
So he's taken himself. Oh, he's got Exacties here on the lethal. Oh, we'll add the Youngling just in case he doesn't know, but it's a little bit short. That's tough, man. This is the second game we've had with Samira Verist where we've gone the entirety of the game without drawing a champion. Well, I should say Samira Pantheon since we're not playing Varus here, but it's pretty critical for this deck, and we've most certainly lost all the games where we didn't draw either champion. That's tough. But you know what they say. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's one of the big values in playing Varus over playing Pantheon, right? You if you never draw your Varus, you can still play the cultist spells to pick them up. I haven't really decided if I prefer Varus to Pantheon. Games like that most certainly make me prefer Varus, but I've been kind of toying with the Varus version, just trying to get to a spot to where you're playing more cultist spells because the one-cost spell just isn't that good anymore, and working with that. Oh, right, the early Forge Chief again. Is he gonna open on us? Sure is. So with that in mind, I think we can just drop the Youngling. We're gonna... We like do have Pantheon, and we could start equipping this, or targeting this turn. I think that's just a little aggressive, though. We'll have a bit of time to get the Pantheon targets down and on the board. Here, I'm gonna pick up the Scout Rake just to make sure we have it. It's not, like, incredible here. It's not spectacular. Holy shit, he ate a Vengeance? Wow. He just has to have Hextech Handlers in hand, right? Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Like, just playing the 6th cost spell right now? That's very strange. Especially on such a low value unit when you're playing against Pantheon. I'm a little bamboozled with that. It was the Hextech Handler? Yeah. That was the only thing that really made sense. So we have Samira in hand, but we don't have the tools to protect her at the moment. So I think we have to just take the damage from the Handler. I want to get the targets this turn, though. We missed out on the last turn. We'll bring in the Cultist, make sure we get a target. And then next turn we can start looking to add Samira. She's not, like, spectacular next turn. Like, having to protect her with the Nox and Tellstones, but... kind of is what it is. I don't think we have any ways to just get him to spend mana here. Maybe we don't end up playing her here. Like, I'm kind of thinking in terms of, like, what if we just play the gem this turn? Like, we have to take the 4 from the Handler, whatever, but then we play the gem on our unit, bank 2, and then next turn we put Scout onto the Cultist. I don't think I like that. I'm pretty okay with just taking 4 damage from the Hextech Handler. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and play Samira. I want to take my target with her on the board, right? We would rather be targeting Samira as opposed to targeting the Cultist. Ugh, fuck me. I just assumed he was out of stuff at 1 mana. I forget about Quietus coming out of this deck. I'm used to the more, the classical versions of this thing where that wasn't quite a thing. You're just out here hitting us with Vile Feasts. Oh, it's kind of brutal. I was just in my head with Mystic Shot and I don't want to go about this. We don't have to rush out this other Samira. We can look to, say, Flare and try and take down both of his units. So Samira's not doing a ton at this point anyways. Let's see if he spends any mana here, though. If we get kind of an opening to, say, Flare onto the Cultist and then play Samira afterwards, and then look to get 2 attacks this turn and maybe have a good one come in with Samira, that might be a thing. Destroys our equipment. That's kind of annoying. Alright. Well, let's try and take this little dum-dum down. I'm gonna look to gem and then take down the Handler. Is that even where we need to be?
It's an awesome
I mean, he's really limited in cards. He's got the fresh 6 that he just picked up and then 2 cards in hand. I just start to worry at this point if we use the gem this turn, then we're gonna be in a spot
Ask for permission or
like we're just gonna start running out of targets. I think I want to play Samira just kind of as a bait, and then we're just gonna start building into Pantheon. We have to start getting the targets these turns though. So 2 turns from now, we'll get Pantheon down. We'll get 1 target on this next turn. We'll look to 3 bank into the Pantheon turn, and then maybe be able to protect him and use Brutal Skirmish and Flare to really pop off. I don't know about you, but I like popping off. Whoop, kitty. Coming back? You want to hang out? Sure. So let's keep the cultist back. If we really need a target on this turn, you know, we need a unit. And so if the cultist is dead, that means if the cultist is dead, then we like have to play Cosmic Youngling.
Let's get moving.
an end to war.
Okay. I think it's okay. We'll add in the Youngling. We'll put the Lodestone on it and then 2 bank into the next turn. That's still enough to do some neato things with Pantheon. I saw the spell come down and I was like, oh no, he's gonna kill our unit and we're gonna have to do some real weird shit to get our target. But not the case. Not the case. Thinking real hard on that 1 mana. Is he going to have a 3rd Quietus here to blow up the Lodestone? That would certainly be something. As far as we know, he's got 1 Ooh, I didn't see if the assembly line... I assume the assembly line... I don't know if you can tell at this point. If that was what was generated off of the... What was generated off of the Reggie?
By my spear, the gods will know war.
All right, well, our Pantheon's safe from the big spells. He's only got 5 mana at this point. Let's see if we can't kick it up a notch here. Start getting nasty, you know? I don't think I even... Well, here's what I think we want to do. Let's lead off with the gem onto the Stellacorn. It's going to get the Pantheon to flip. I don't necessarily want 2 things to happen, right? I'm okay if he hits Challenger on his own. And then if he doesn't hit Challenger, it's like this is what gives us the kind of options for this turn, right? I want this 3/5 to fight all of these units well, and then if we want to give Pantheon Challenger, we can. But none of these units are like very compelling takedowns, and so I think we can just bring the attack. He didn't hit Lifesteal or anything. He did hit Augment, which is kind of nice with the Flare. Trying to think if we want to go ahead and just punch. I guess he doesn't have any real high value targets this turn. Alright. It's just... I was trying to think, like, we can save the Challenger for later, but what units are we actually going to hit that we care to take down? Like, he can't play Heimerdinger this turn, he can play next turn. But, like, with next turn, we still have Brutal Skirmishes, and he probably doesn't have great ways to get in front of this. Like, I think this is okay. So he's trying to break the barrier. I don't think he realized our Pantheon has quick attack. right? That would typically be like trying to deal 3 damage to Pantheon this turn so you can open Shock Blasting next turn or getting with the Hex Obliterator or something. I don't think he realized the quick attack was on there and he wasn't going to deal those damages. And the Surge. So a Floor Be Gone we can't deal with, but then the other units are all fairly small. Well, we can deal with the Floor Be Gone. We have the Nox and Tellstones in hand to hit it with a Whirling Death. So a legitimate question here is, do we want to throw the Youngling in front of the Storm Lobber so that it dies, and then we get the equipment back in our hand, and then we can look to play Harazi next turn? Right, we're going to be at 9 mana next turn. I think I dig that. So let's get him in there. Pantheon can block a big boy. Maybe he doesn't need to. We take 6 and fall to 7. Pantheon only takes 1. Seems fairly safe. So we fall to 7. Still a little worried about this Pantheon getting popped here, but seems like we're in a better spot than we were. Oh, Pantheon has Regenerate. We should have just blocked the bigger unit. A little bit of a whoopsies. Can't do anything about that. Can we get the lethal this turn, though? So we do have this option to where we Shield Vault one Forge Worker, put the other one in front of Pantheon. So he's going to be hitting for 11. So that would be 8, and the Harazi would deliver a kill the rest of the way. The downside to this is if something just goes a little bit wrong, then it goes wrong real hard. And so I think we'll skip over that. Just try and fight with what we have on board. I do kind of like having this backup Pantheon. Just in the event that something goes wrong here, we can still catch a victory. Interesting. It doesn't matter if he has Vengeance, we just get the kill. All right, the Pantheon has Spell Shield. Very interesting no block. We got what we wanted without having to do it. Right, I think we did it. Cool. Oof, GG. Well played. We drew our champions and we're able to secure victory. Good stuff. It's all about those Stellacorns, you know. All right, off we go. See if we can't achieve a 4th victory. Probably nobody in the queue, right? Nobody does as good as us. How could you expect to have a better record than the best player in the world according to FTPBus.com? It's just not doable. It's not capable. Them's the facts. But yeah, it's tough as we talked to kind of a bit in that previous game about the Samira deck and the struggles we've had in these games to where we just didn't draw them. We either didn't draw Samira, we didn't draw Pantheon, or in those games where we just didn't draw both. And that is, again, the kind of perk to playing Varus. I've looked to. I feel like if you're looking to still play Varus, you have to start playing 3 copies of the 2-cost spell that deals damage, right? Because what you tend to find is you play 1 double spell, and that double spell that you used to play was just always the combat trick. And then you found some other spell that you didn't care about along the way. And most commonly, it was going to be the strike card. And so you would play the combat trick, you would play the strike, that would draw your Varus, and then you were kind of off to the races. You could kind of replace the strike card with the barrier card to prevent a removal spell, whatever, right? But you were typically playing 1 normal card, 1 double card. And now that's a lot more challenging to do, given that the way you have to kind of like finagle your mana, and it's a lot tougher to find that spot to where you've just got 1 mana hanging out ready to play a combat trick. And so you get to be a lot more proactive as you're playing the removal spell. And you don't find yourself just like really trying to burn through 2 mana to just play the spell to draw your Varus. But back to the action here. We're up to the same lineup again. You know what we're going to do? We're going to ban Karma Set. We'll take the lead off with the Demacia Tristana. See if we can't do battle against Heimerdinger Jace. I'm still surprised to see people playing the fight version of Demacia Tristana. Doesn't strike me as like it wasn't like quite like meme quality. It was just something that it's just like I don't know. I'm just not the hugest fan of playing the prize fights. It's a strong thing when you're starting to come out and chain off all of the prize fights. It was an interesting way to figure out how to get that to go, but it just strikes me as being not great. not great, you know.
You best believe
But let's get Bandle Commando down. I'd like to start generating a little bit of card advantage here if we can. I don't think we need to start off with the Grandfather Fae. I just want to see if we can't get the free unit. If he doesn't have the Bandle Commando to block, then we're going to be able to come in and start generating the free birds. But didn't happen here. That's okay. Now we have to start to consider if we really want to drop one of these early Tristanas, because we have the means to protect her with the form up, and then we also have we also have just like a lot of birds in hand. But I'm gonna come down and take his unit away. And then we can add in... I mean, do we want to add in Grandfather Fae? That's interesting. We can, like, form up again, but that feels like a little bit much. I think with the Tristanas in our hand, we want to be a little bit more careful here. Probably just pass, right? When we don't have the unit in hand, it doesn't feel nearly as good. Like, I feel like we can still probably safely play a Tristana this turn. He doesn't have a lot of tools to be able to take her down, right? He's not going to be able to play a cheap Buster Shot because he hasn't played enough units and doesn't have Tristana on the board. And so, feels like a reasonable place to add her. We can still spew off with the Hungry Owlcat, and then we'll have the form up for next turn. I'm fine to just go ahead and take the trade here, I think. Trade out the Owlcat for the Wandering Shepherd. It's not super ideal. But we don't have a champion strength at this point, so I don't want to just sit around on a bunch of do-nothing dum-dums. So how many has he played up to this point? He's got 1... Oh, that's my played. Opponent's played. Am I looking at the right thing? Oh, it doesn't. It didn't track the opponent's plays. I was trying to think if he was going to be able to drop a Buster Shot on us. That's tough. But let's add in the combat reel. That we're ideally going to come in and just trade away our unit here, and then drop the Blood Cursed Harpy next turn to get the equip. Still leaving Tristana a little naked out here, but if he does make the investment in taking her down, we've still got the second one in hand. There's just absolutely no way he has a Buster Shot at this point. He would have killed Tristana immediately. There's a champion strength. All right, Bird, let's see what you can do. Hopefully it's got enough health to not have to worry about prize fights at this point. The mayor's not big enough to get a takedown here, right? We have tough, and so he's gonna have to prize fight just to try and kill the harpy, which is a-okay with me. There he goes. He realized a problem was abound.
Also quite a fetching one. An enemy
Gotta block now though. It's just a lethal if he doesn't.
not interesting.
All right, good turn. There's the buster shot. That's okay. I'm more like disappointed in losing units as we're encountering this champion strength than I am actually losing the Tristana. But let's just go ahead and get another one on board. Were we ever going to champion strength next turn? We only need 1 mana to do so, and so I think we want to just come in and spew off all these cards. His attacks all suck right now anyways, so not too worried about it. His Tristana attacks into the Harpy don't look very good.
I'm Tristana, and I take point.
So I mean, if we wanted to, we could realistically just take all the damage from the turn. Not hate it too much. So I guess the question to ask ourselves is, do we want to add this last bird to potentially get the extra unit for the champion strength, or do we want to hang on to it so that we can play the form up next turn, right? We're going to have 8 natural mana with the 1 we have banked. That's for champion strength, but if we play the Owlcat, we can't play form up. So it's like if we drop the champion strength and then he starts dropping removal spells, but he shouldn't have any removal spells here, right? It's just not a thing. They don't exist. Pretty good board for this, right? The thing that's bad when you're starting to bring these champion strengths in is if he's able to just block a unit and get a kill on it. And he doesn't currently have any 6 health units or 6 attack units on the board, 5 attack units even for the bird. So I think that's all well and good. Rip Tristana. Glad we didn't try to stick to a form up play. That just wouldn't have worked. Ooh, now he does have a big boy.
Shall we bully off?
Still bringing the squad. There's no stopping us now.
Relax, everyone.
He needs to move his blockers over. He can't take 8 or leave the 8s up. I guess it works this way with the Tristana block coming in.
Final rush.
All right, I'm sending another bird.
Hey, stop that.
Okay, so we still got a dude on board. It's not bad. King's Court. We can try and fight that if we need to. So what are we taking in here? I think I'm just like looking to get wide, right? I'm leaning towards the Piltover Castaway on this board. This is just the cheapest option out of those choices. What she got for us? Let's take the Shepherd's Authority. It gives us the access to the most damage. right. We can get in front of the friend here with the champion with the 4-bot. Take down the unit. We should be good to go. So I think we make the scout attack, right? If we just get the trade, that's got to be good. All right, get the takedown there. Still have those Bandle Gunners in the background, ready to bring some thunder. I think we're pretty well set in this game, but. He's only got one card in hand after all of these equipments are gone. He's got a Bandle Gunners. We got a Bandle Gunners. That's gonna do it. GG. All right, well done, Tristana. You are the true champion in my heart. All right. Let's see if we can bring some thunder with a little bit of Aatrox. Send out the birds, they say. It's a common saying in case you didn't know. All right, reasonable enough start. Do we actually want to hang on to Vayne? She's kind of interesting, but I think I just want to pick up more challengers and the like. It's just Vayne kind of dies to everything, and I don't. She's just like a landmark unit, if you will, as to where she comes on the board and just sits there. That's not what I'm really looking to do. And I'm gonna leave the Elkin at hand. It's an interesting spot in the sense that the opponent does typically play the full set of group shots and the full set of pastries. And so it's ultimately not super safe for a blinding assault, right? That's what you're looking to have just as your big blowout play, is having blinding assault come in and get these big darkened harp hooks. But with how this game is sequenced, I have a hard time imagining that we're going to be able to pull that off. Valor's just too good to pass up on, though. So I think what I want to do, let's start dropping Elkin, I guess. See if for whatever reason... Oh, can we get the bait? I don't feel like that's going to be a proper bait at this point. Just skip the block. Gonna add in the Elkin. He's clearly got a spell here, right? All right, we'll hold on to the bird. Now we get more birds. All right, let's. Now that we have access to every bird in the world, let's see if we can't get some of these. And good, I love seeing group shot come down and not the perilous pastry, because we're going to be a little slow in getting Valor online, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see another removal spell come out. Right, opponent didn't play any cards on the first 2 turns of the game. He has to have some kind of like really awkward hand with expensive spells and removal spells and stuff, but. Let's see how this goes. I'm not gonna pass up on the opportunity to just get the free win, right? If he, for whatever reason, just doesn't have the burn spell, we just get the free win with Valor here.
You did one Yordle portal and suddenly geography means nothing.
All right, I'm gonna go after the weak Mayor first. Oh my gosh, and we just get it? Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. No, hang on. Let's add in the blood letters. I think we can go ahead and just put it on the bird. We can throw away the bird if that's what it comes down to. Wow, what an absolute disaster for the opponent. I'm really curious what's in their hand. You just like mulligan into just super expensive, just like a bunch of, I don't know, man. That's been savage.
Armed and ready.
Didn't see where the Teemo came from, but that's That's a very odd play at this point. Alright, birds. Continue on doing bird stuff. I'm gonna leave the Blinding Assault at home. I want to be able to play Aatrox and then still have access to this Condemn.
Sing with the darkness in your heart.
Alright, still bringing it. So who's the most important unit here? Like I want to send the Broadwing into Teemo. After that, leaning towards this guy. Then we can still attack with Aatrox. Shouldn't have. Well, ooh, Aatrox I guess isn't completely safe. He could get hit with a prize fight. So if he say prize fights are Aatrox and blocks it with the Owlcat, is that just okay though? I think it's probably just okay. Alright, so not bad. We get 3 strikes with the Darken for the round. We heal ourselves back up to 20. That's all looking pretty good. Can add the Bloodletters back in. We're going to have the mana to play World Ender next turn, so let's equip it to the Darken Thrall. Well, I'm not letting her sit. We can give it a round. I'm gonna take this Tristana down. Tristana number 2.
And ready to rock it.
Oh, he doesn't have his equipment anymore. I want to strike with an equipped unit. This deck, it shouldn't have any combat tricks, right? So we can hit with the bird. I guess he can group shot the bird. But man, if he didn't stop the last one, is he really going to stop this one? Let's use the Dark Enthrall. I want to continue just getting these strikes for the World Ender. If we get to say like Blinding Assault into Aatrox and get the flip, then it's going to be good. But that was an odd game. Like playing against the Tristana deck, it still feels like they have those opportunities to come in and just blow you out at the end of the day, but wasn't able to do so there. It's a fairly awkward draw from the opponent. All right, final battle is here. One shot at glory. Let's see what we can do. Acquire all the trophies and stuff, you know. So what do we got? We got Samira Leona, sure thing. Karma Set, that's what we're going to ban. And then coming down here at the end, we got the Bilgewater version of Tristana again. And so very easy ban. Again, I want to take the Karma Set out of the mix. I'm curious if this one doesn't actually come in and ban our Tristana. Like I haven't played any Sunburn in this set, or this patch, I should say, but it strikes me as just being like a very miserable matchup for playing against Tristana. But it does potentially give some problems to things like Samira Pantheon, given that you can run into these spots to where you need to get your really big overwhelmed turns in, but then Samira Leona is able to just have like a 9 health unit on the board, and you can't really punch through. And so we'll see how it goes. All right, so Pantheon has been removed. Start off with Tristana. See what we can do. Looks like opponent picked up the Leona deck here to start. All right, so what are we gonna do here? Definitely like hanging on to Grandfather Fae. I don't think we can hang on to Form Up here. I definitely want to be spewing off a bunch of units here in the early game, and it's kind of disaster mode if you have like Form Up and a bunch of just like interactive stuff, but then no units to go along with them. But Teemo's ready to party. We drew 2 Teemos, so I'm pretty okay with just kind of throwing one away early. I don't really want to block Blade Squire, but if this would have been, say, a Legion Saboteur ready to come at us on the second turn, I would have just, you know, gracefully tossed our Teemo directly in front of it. So we'll see if that's how these turns look to continue.
Or lose the chance.
Samira comes in. I am happy to trade form up for Samira, though. Get in there and do your blocking, Teemo. So we get the big unit off the board, a 2 mana for 2 mana trade. It's only got the singular flare in hand. Not a bad round. Now here I don't really want to interact with this Blade Squire. Again, we can just let it chill out on the board. So we'll open with Teemo just in case he plays something like a Stun Bird. Let him survive the day. And now the thing we need to be looking towards here is we've drawn like 2 copies of Champion Strength, and we don't have a lot happening in our hand. And so I am okay with throwing away Teemo, but we need to be, you know, kind of defensive with our units here. We really need something to go right with these Champion Strengths. How do we feel about this? I was looking to, again, just like trade away the Teemo to ensure that we have more units to put on the board. I think we can target him with the Shepherd, maybe get a decent equipment. Fishawak seems okay. Let's say, like, let Teemo trade with the Twilight Protector. Try and just get some takedowns. Or if he attacks with everything he has on board here, we could put the Wandering Shepherd in front of the Protector and then Teemo in front of the Pigeon. It does, you know, shift away from the strategy we're talking about to where we don't want to throw away our units, but interesting. Feels like such a weak Daybreak. Okay. I mean, we can pretty happily just take the damage off of the Protector. He's gonna ace our Teemo, that's fine. Yeah, we can't just take all this damage. Oh, you're too big. You grew. You got bigger, friend. All right, let's just take it then. I bamboozled you with my things. So interesting picking up the Wandering Shepherd. Like, it's an interesting spot into where, say, if we play Bandle Gunners, then the opponent plays Leona, then Leona gets to pop the Bandle Gunner spell shield, but at the end of the day, that's not the end of the world because he's, you know, pretty much tapped out and we still have our big unit on the board. I think it's reasonable to drop here. I was thinking if we would prefer to, say, just like Wandering Shepherd Teemo and see if we just hit on something, but the Bandle Gunners just seems too good. Like, if we play the Gunners and just trade with Ravoon, that's another very strong turn for us. Let's bring it. I don't think we want to trade out our Owlcat, though. Again, I'm trying to build up to this Champion Strength on our next attack token. These blocks here all suck on the Bandle Gunners, right? I wouldn't be surprised if this was, say, a block onto the Bandle Gunners and then a Nox and Fervor over onto the Teemo. It's not what played out, but it wouldn't have been a crazy thought. Just prevent all the damage for the round.
Good steel and a good future.
All right, and another Challenger with Reforge coming in. Interesting. I mean, I had to double check and make sure they weren't playing Riven. We're safe. we're safe from that nonsense. So how bad is this gonna be? Like, the thing I'm kind of looking at here is if we, say, Cataclysm our Bandle Gunners into the Rune Squire, and then just make the blocks to survive. The blocks to survive don't sound great. I think we're going to end up giving up our Bandle Gunners to do it. But it seems better to Cataclysm than to play the Wandering Shepherd. We'll see. As it stands, we're not going to be able to Champion Strength on this next turn. He's gonna bring the squad and hit pretty hard. But I mean, we don't have to give up everything here. We should still be able to take down Kale. Right, she's not... No, the Pigeon's gonna grow and then Kale's gonna go up to quick attack size.
Justice will be done.
Oh, she big. Dang. Oh man, all these. Everybody has bonus attack. No wonder they're all coming through so hard. Okay, well, we just need to not die at this point, right? We can get off of this idea of playing champion strength and then look to next turn just either kill with Teemo or kill with Bandle Gunners. Now, which of those seems more likely, right? In the sense that we can put Fishwhack on Bandle Gunners and attack. It only needs to deal 1 overwhelm damage. I think that's the route I'm willing to take here. It's just like Teemo dies to Nox and Fervor. If Teemo gets hushed, that's a problem. And so let's just get rid of him. He can go in front of Kale, prevent maximum damage, take these 2 dum-dums off of the board, and then block the bird. Fall to 2. We don't have any way to, I guess, survive the Nox and Fervor. Right? Since he's going to be able to just say Nox and Fervor off of Kale or something. But you got to make him have it. You know, a lot of times these decks don't even play cards like that. So let's see if he's got it. Whew, 2 puff caps coming in. I was like, that's one of the things I was thinking about is like if something with this attack fails and we only get to deal the impact, we do still have those puff caps hanging out in the deck. All right. Good job. Good job, friends. All right. We get 2 shots with Aatrox. I believe in you, friends. I believe in you. I'm curious, as the opponent, like I'm not used to seeing people play a lot of the Reforged package coming out of the Sunburn deck. I'm curious if that just means like they've completely given up on playing spells, right? They might have, say, Might in the deck. They probably have some number of Pale Cascades. But like, what are you really cutting to fit that package into the deck? It's interesting. Now this one's interesting as well. I immediately just tried to cycle away the Darken Aegiuses. But again, if you remember back to when we were playing Teemo before, our big concern was that we were going to get our Valor hit with Group Shot. And it's, you know, just a big disaster. This would be a lot easier if we were on... is this the attack token we want to be on? It's like... we want to be able to play the bird at the end of the turn and then equip it with the Aegius so that it doesn't die. I think we just have to keep all of this. Just like if we don't pick up a unit, we're pretty hosed though, and Aatrox was just like the actual worst draw in the deck. Alright, so now we have to bank. Well, we can Broadwing. We have 4 mana next turn, so we should be kind of okay with our Blinding Assault. Alright, he never blocks here. This is fine. Okay. So yeah, we're going to want to see if we can't, you know, get the Valor on board and then have it protected with the Form Up. We don't have to play Valor this turn. Let's still just play the Elkin, right? If we 3-bank into the next turn, it's not a terrible deal. And not playing Valor, right? We have to keep it protected from a group shot. It's not entirely unreasonable just to look at the Aegius for Valor this turn, but yep. Get out in front of that. Now, the question is, are we going to play around Buster Shot as well? And I don't think so, right? I mean, we can put... I mean, is it just good enough to put the Aegius down? So if we say like Aegius and then hook into the Grandfather Fae and then hook into the other one? I think I do like this. Just make him, like, put in the work if he wants to take Valor down. So he's still got that 1 mana back. think we want to play a Bloodletters. Because our Broadwing is fairly likely to die, and then I'm looking to hook in the Grandfather Fae with the Broadwing, hook in the Owlcat with Valor, and now he only has 1 mana, so this Perilous Pastry isn't going to be enough to kill Valor. So we should be safe at least into this next turn. So not bad. Nice bit of board control. Then we can look to land Aatrox on the following turn, keep our health high. And even the Broadwing can be pretty reasonable if we want to think in the sense of putting the Harp on the Broadwing and still being able to hook these Owlcats in. Are we going to get to that point, though? Probably not. So what's our angle for the turn, right? He's going to attack, sure. I wouldn't be surprised if everything came in. Are we willing to just, say, give up on all of our units at this point? Like, I don't think we want to get rid of Valor. We still have a good open attack next turn, right? He doesn't have the mana to Perilous Pastry now, so we should be able to Darken Harp the Valor before he gets to hit. But with that in mind, we need to put a point of damage onto the Bandle Gunners. I think we can just pass. If he just passes back to us, that's beautiful, right? Like, no complaints if that's what goes down. So we take 4 from the Owlcat. Bring in the old Darkened Harp. I think we want to go ahead and equip the Darkened Thrall as well. Right, next turn we're going to play Aatrox and just equip. So I don't want to give him, give him as little opportunity as he can to hook in these units. And oh boy, we just group shot, or we drew form up. Oh, that's got some real potential to really swing the game. He's going to drop the Perilous Pastry onto Valor and we get to protect here. Oh man, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Okay, I dig it. I dig it. Alright, so we'll risk the Aatrox here. Let's just actually attack with everybody. I'm mainly interested in just gaining the health, and so he does have the opportunities here to, say, prize fight Aatrox and then kill him with the Blasco Seedling. But I think I'm pretty okay with that, given that we have another Aatrox in hand. Now Tristana comes in. She's scary. We still at least have a Deathbringer strike if we need to. Do have to lose all of our Aatroxes to pull that off, though. Interesting. That's not particularly scary. I mean, do we just take this? You shouldn't really have any other ways to come in and just deal damage to us, right? It's kind of scary, but I mean, he's not going to rally. Okay. Well, let's go for it. Let's go for those danger moments, right? Nothing better than a danger moment. Interesting. He lined up a card and then pulled it back. I'm going to take this open into Tristana, and then see if we can't bait out some kind of card, right? If he's picked up a group shot, there's no difference in attacking with Valor now and then waiting to play the World Ender. So I think that's fine. King's Court comes in, absolutely. So who do we want to turn Jaral into, right? Do we want to turn him into Harazi? We're going to have the two big overwhelms. I think that's okay. I mean, turning it into the Darkened Harp isn't that bad. Get a big quick attack and potentially take down the Tristana. Alright. Might need a little bit of interactivity here. I am the World Ender. So what is he going to do? Drop in a prize fight? I guess you can prize fight. He only has the pastry in hand. He can't prize fight too hard. I guess he can kill one of these units, but this is all this nonsense. That's a valid question, right? What is this nonsense?
It is too late. You cannot avert oblivion.
It's got to be two one-cost spells, so it has to be two group shots, right? Or a group shot, you know, two one-damage ping spells. I guess the group shot does 2 points of damage at this point, but he's lined up his cards wrong in terms of killing Aatrox. Right, he would want to say prize fight into Aatrox, but then have the group shot to the right of it. So he goes to 1 health off of Tristana and then takes the damage. Yeah, that was backwards, my dude. Okay, so I mean, we got 20 points of Overwhelm now. He did have a second ping spell. I was going to say this Aatrox may not survive the day. Kind of painful. Kind of painful. Don't have enough Overwhelm to close it out. Alright, well, let's see what the harp picks up. Fish fight, beautiful. Beautiful. Now, are we in a spot to where this King's Court is actually going to kill us, right? It's a little bit scary, right? I think we still want to just be taking down the Tristana. I don't want to deal with impact, but this guy does have Brash, which is a fairly intimidating play. I was expecting to have Challenger off of this. I thought that the Darken was going to hold on to the Challenger from the Jural, and we were going to just be able to hook in, but wasn't the case. Hopefully we're still okay, though. Definitely want to drop Aatrox and get that heal.
To me, Aatrox, we have a common enemy.
There is no greater enemy than cowardice.
Alright, who's our preferred Darken at this point? Do we even want to play the Darken? Right? If he's just out here trying to get wider than us, would we rather just add Vayne and the Elkin? We get 2 units on board this way instead of 1? I think that sounds reasonable.
Monsters still lurk in Demacia's every shadow.
I think it sounds reasonable. He's got a bunch of prize fights, but he doesn't have impact unit at this point. I think we're okay here. I guess he can do a bunch of prize fighting to weaken our dudes, but he's only got 3. Well, does he just give everything Brash? Is that what we're going to see? He's going to King's Court all of our units.
Full of fear.
I think we're dead, right? We can't Brash block everything. We should get at least 1 block, though, right? If we're able to block the King's Court, then we're okay. And then if he does prize fight Aatrox, we get the strike out of it and gain 2 more health. Alright, yeah, he's going for the brash, but the small units aren't dealing enough damage to drop our Darken. Okay. Seems reasonable. And one more, a group shot onto Striatu. Okay.
Where are we going?
That's our only block, right? Sending in Aatrox. trying to move our friends onto the board, but they're unable to do so. All right. Market a W, victory achieved, trophies unlocked. Good job, bust. And so, you know, that went pretty well. I think we can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. I feel like the lineups and stuff went how I kind of expected this thing to go, right? We banned out Karma Set whenever it turned up. If it didn't turn up, we were looking to take out whatever deck has that just kind of big direct damage removal spell. And I think that gets us in a good mind space, a good mindset, because if you're thinking in terms of this game, you're in such a spot to where I still kind of like firmly believe you could have a deck that has a 75% win rate against literally every single deck in the format, and that deck still won't breach a 50% 50% play rate in a best of 3. Like it's so wild. You've seen these decks that are just like super clearly the absolute best deck in the format, and they barely breach like 30% play rate in best of 3. And so I don't really like coming into these things with like, okay, we're gonna have a deck targeting Tristana, or okay, we're gonna have a deck targeting Karma Set, because you don't play it enough times for it to matter, right? For it to be a 33% chance to play it, even if it's a 50% chance to play it. You have to play, you're going to get to play against it 4 or 5 times and then not play against it 4 or 5 times. So your dedicated lineup isn't as good as you want it to be half of the time. Then the other kind of thing with it is you're not 100% win rate, right? Everybody likes to think, okay, this matchup is a 55% win rate in my favor. That makes it actually 100% win rate in my favor. Just absolutely not the case. And so I like this idea as to where we're not really targeting a deck, we're targeting an idea. And that idea being we're just going to ban out whatever has that most single target removal out of the opposing deck. And so we've been banning out Karma Set because they play Concussive Palm and they play Tag Out. You could look towards something like Heimerdinger Jace because it plays Vengeance. You could look towards something like Deep because it plays Vengeance. But it gets us in a spot to where it's kind of like very easy to stratify how we want to look at the pick and ban phase, just kind of in the terms of picking out that one deck and picking out that one idea. And so not necessarily being good against one particular deck itself, but trying to eliminate the best strategy that they have. Because again, as we were talking about with aggro decks in this format, to where you just can't play 3 aggro decks, right? There's not enough good ones. There might be one good Samira based aggro deck, but the rest of them are just trash. And so if you're trying to say play 3 control decks, you can't really do it because there's not 3 good ones. And so if we're kind of just taking away the top idea choice in that frame, I think that leaves us in a pretty good spot. And so yeah, I like how that played out. I like our lineup. I like all the decks that we're playing. I'm not sold on playing Pantheon over Varus, but I do like playing Tristana. That deck is just one of the most powerful things you can be doing. I like playing Samira. I don't care what flavor of Samira you play. I think she has to be played in this format. And then I do like the kind of fallback deck and Aatrox, since it just has such a really high power level. And even you can see in those games to where like we knew if we just got our bird on the board, it was going to die to group shot. But if the bird survives, and you just outright win the game, even in the face of strong adversity. And so, very powerful deck to consider bringing out here as well. So, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.